Well, it's interesting to be here. First of all, thank you very much for inviting me. Your rector, Professor Dr. Isam Bey, is a very, very dear person in my life. I always see him as an acceleration factor wherever he is. I think his value proposition in life is he will excel things for you and for the place he is in. I'm not that person. I am a poker. I poke people. That's my value proposition in life. But it's interesting to be here because I'm from Ankara, actually. I was born in Ankara. I was born in Ankara in 1968. And I lived in very different places in the world, but I went to junior high school in Ankara. And I went to Atatürk Anadolu Lisesi, which is, at that time, the main competition of TED. We were competing in everything. We were competing in basketball, music, and at the same time, trying to go out with the girls from each other's schools. So I used to come here a lot. So a lot of memories came back as I entered your campus, which is now, fortunately, a very nice university in very good hands of yourselves, actually. I've done a lot of things in my life. If you look at my CV, I wrote books, I did music, I went and jumped from a cliff, I went and jumped off a plane for my 50th birthday. I just ran a marathon. I'm 53 now. I just ran a marathon actually on Sunday in Istanbul. Now you're going to say, what's the big deal in running a marathon? Actually, it was a very big deal for me because I broke my back, spine, this February, falling off a horse. And after not being able to walk for 4 months and trying to recover from both the trauma and the incident itself, it was a very big deal for me to run that marathon in Istanbul. And I thanked God every second of it to be able to not just run, but even walk after such an incident. So that's why my speech today is not on me or X, Y, and Z. It's about being human and daring to be human. And for me, daring to be human in a nutshell is daring to be you, yourself, without any molds, without any introductions, without any mischief or guilt compasses, without any handcuffs to your heart, to your brain, being brave enough to be you. Because that is going to make the real change for you in this world. Now, let me start off with 3 questions. I'm going to ask these 3 questions at the very end of the conversation today. I want you to think about these 3 questions throughout my entire speech. Question number 1. You went to the doctor, and God forbid, the doctor said, you have 12 months left in this world. What would you do? Question number 1. Question number 2, you're on a plane, and all of a sudden, from the cockpit, you heard somebody say, we're just about to crash in 15 minutes. If you write a letter, I will put it in the black box. So, what would you write, and to whom would you write? First question, you have 12 months left. What would you do with your life in that period? Question number 2, the plane's about to crash. You have 15 minutes. Who would you write, and what would you write in the letter? Question number 3, assume that you have all the time and all the wealth and all the opportunity in life. What would you do? What would you do? You have all the wealth that you're seeking for. You have all the time in the world. What would you do? So 3 questions. Think about this. Okay? question in whatever you do in life is to ask yourself, is it worth it? Because when you come to an age where you start making sort of a balance sheet about your life, you start asking the question vice versa. You're saying, was it worth it? So it's better to ask now, is it worth it? Is it worth it to go out with this guy or girl? Is it worth it to study? Is it worth it to take a math class? Is it worth it to run a marathon? Is it worth it to devote myself, my 4 years or 5 years to a university? Is it worth it? Because this question will give you pavement to two roads. Number one, you will start questioning what happiness is. And number two, you will start questioning what serenity is. Those are two different things. You might be very happy, but you might be very inserene. Serenity equals to huzur, huzursuzluk. You might be very serene, but you might be very unhappy. Happiness is in your hands. Serenity not. But happiness is in your hands. Every morning, you can be very sick. It doesn't matter. You can wake up and say, my choice to be happy today is in my hands. I choose to be happy. You can choose happiness no matter what. If you relate happiness to things, happiness becomes a very short period of time. I will be very happy once I have a lot of money. Believe me, once you have a lot of money, that happiness lasts only 5 minutes. Or when you buy something, it lasts only 1 hour, etc., etc. So don't tie happiness to something. Try to actually choose happiness. Once you choose happiness, serenity is a different factor of life. Serenity is actually your emotional well-being within your spiritual self. However, you are on this world, so you might be a spirit, yes, you might be a big energy, yes, but you are in this world. So you are in this world, in this machine called human body. And once you're in this world, in this machine called human body, you cannot choose to die while you're living. That's the easy part. The difficult part is to experience as energy in this body whatever is going around in you. And outside of you. So ask these questions. Why am I seeking a career and become a person as such and earn a lot of money and be XYZ title holder of XYZ big company? I went through that. I worked for Gillette, I worked for Boyna Group, I worked for Doge, I worked for Procter & Gamble, I worked for GE, etc., etc. And I had a list of things that I wanted to achieve, to-do list. Why? Why did I do that? Was it actually a perception game of my father telling me, hey, happiness is such, or you will be only accepted if, or, it's very cool to be a global citizen and working for a multinational company. Question number 2, what? What is the feeling of leaving everything behind? I did that too. I left everything and became a yogi. A bum. But the interesting thing was, when I was about 45, I had 2 kids, I was married, and all of a sudden my kids were looking at me and saying, why isn't our father like other fathers going to work? He's like going around with a beard and playing music and meditating all the time. So, what was the purpose of that? And you enter a different life and you become an academician, a writer, a musician, whatever, and you ask yourself, not just who am I, but for whom am I doing these things? What is this thing behind being on a stage or performing and interacting with people? So everything you do in life actually It's an answer to a question of your
It's kind of
state
funny
of
how people
perception.
react when the new iPhone
Now,
comes out.
when
Some people
I say
actually
perception, have a look at
why would
this.
they make another product I desperately want to buy? Those bastards. It's almost as if the new iPhone somehow ruins the old iPhone, but it doesn't. It's all in your head. In fact, we set a camera out on the street today. We told people outside to check out the new iPhone 5, which is unavailable so far. So in reality, what they were looking at is the current iPhone 4S that everyone has. And well, here's how that experiment played out.
The new iPhone 5 just came out today. We want to know if you'll take a look at it. Tell us how it compares to the last iPhone.
I love it.
Oh, it's way better. Yeah, it's nice. That's definitely noticeably better. It's a little thinner. Looks like the screen's a little bigger.
Seems a little bit faster.
Yeah. Faster, lighter.
Feels heavier.
Feels heavier?
I think so. A lot lighter than the last one. It's a lot faster as well.
Mine's gonna take forever.
So this one's faster?
Yeah, definitely faster. Right on.
Oh, it looks very nice, very updated.
Oh my god, it feels a lot lighter and just more, just a lot higher quality. It's got, if you drop it, it looks like it's not gonna break. Like this one has million times. Screen's clear, HD. Colors are brighter. Oh, I have the video running back. Video running back. That's cool. That doesn't have that.
So you like it better than the last one?
Yeah, I have the 4S.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm always open for a new phone.
Everything in life is perception. Everything. It's how you perceive things, it's how other people perceive you. Perception, think about it as three circles. Number one circle is the perception of you, of yourself. Number two circle is the perception of others of yourself. Number three circle is of what you think the perception of the others is about you is. If these three circles are wide apart of content, there's not one perception. So you can be perceived and doing mistakes like crazy. Like Turkey is doing that all the time. Turkey says we're a big country. In the eyes of whom? We're not. Because we don't talk like a big country. We don't act like a big country. Because the norm of being a big country is different. Or you can see that at a sports team. They can say, oh, we are a very, very big club with huge heritage. In the perception of who? So perception is very relative, very, very relative. Okay? If these three circles are wide apart, there's not one perception. And everything in life is about perception. So if you don't manage your own perception, somebody will manage the perception of you, and you can be either put to bottom or you can go up. Now, perception can be tied to different things like color. You can go and say, pink is for girls. But then a guy might come and say, how the hell are you talking about a color defining gender? Quite right. But it's a perception. You're wearing a pink mask. If I were to wear the pink mask, people would think, why is he wearing a pink mask? Why isn't he choosing a blue mask? Or a yoga room in an airport. Now, a lot of people would say, oh, how cultivated and how spiritually enlightened those people are. They have yoga rooms in an airport. But we have masjid in airports. Nobody talks about masjid like that. It's the same thing. You meditate. Perception. Or, let's do a test. Which circle, which color of circle is bigger? Who says blue? Who says green? I didn't ask that. Who says blue? Who says green? Who says they're the same? They're the same. But the way I asked is you have to choose one, right? Because I didn't give you the third option. They're the same. And same shit happens in wars one is a better brand? Which one is a better brand? You want to have a go?
According to this,
Yes.
Pepsi.
Which one?
Pepsi.
What is the other brand?
Coca-Cola.
Coca-Cola. Does it say Coca-Cola? No. But how many of you thought about the red can as Coke? So you can write stories about this. You can write, oh, Pepsi is better because Pepsi is being poured into the Coke or revealed the brand. Or a lot of people would say Coca-Cola is so good that they don't even have to present their brand. It doesn't matter how tasty it is or not tasty it is, but the perception and the image is everything. So that's why Coca-Cola is a better brand, etc., etc. But the beauty of this photograph is, and the article about it is, actually, Coca-Cola owning a red can as a perceptive idea of an image drink. Now, how do you elevate from primitive to a higher excelled state of being? Now, a lot of people talk about money as, money. You're too much money hungry. There's nothing wrong with money hungry. Because if we're human, if we're in this world, money is very important. But it's the definition you give money which needs to sort of take you from here to here. For example, money, if you take that to value and wisdom, it's huge. Or if you take success to value and wisdom, it's huge. So how do I transcend myself from here to there? It's a journey. It's your journey. Because while you're walking that journey, believe me, you're pushed to the right side. But what is truth? What is the truth? We talked about perception, we talked about different things, but what is the truth? What is your own truth? Because one day you might ask yourself, what everything was introduced, whatever was introduced to you, what if all was wrong? There's still a lot of people in this world saying that the world is flat. They're defending this. Really. They're defending this to their bones. But I take this sentence, what if all was wrong? So what was the real actual truth? What if you were vaccinated? I'm not talking about the vaccination for COVID. What if you were vaccinated and you were vaccinated with something like this? The philosopher Eric Berne says, in this life you need to win, make them happy, be fast, be powerful, be exceptional, so you're successful, so you're worthy, so you're loved. Is love a conditional attribute then? Is this the vaccination that I'm given? Or is it this? Watching the Squid Game and Ash 101, etc. Or being so intolerable with my time that I give the most valuable asset of mine, which is time, I devote it to these. And then they determine what my truth is. So if I were to make a test here and say, 100 years ago, here, at this very location, if we were to ask people how their life was, and how would you imagine 100 years ago life was at this point of time, you would most probably tell me the same thing. Because 100 years ago, more or less, you have the same history in mind about Ankara and center of Ankara, etc. But if I were to ask you this question saying 100 years after this time, after this current time, in the future, how will life be? I bet you will give me the same answer. Because the future is also given to you as such. Now, at that time, Instagram or something else was the new thing to do, the in thing to do, and the masses went to Facebook. It's still happening the same thing. People are saying you have to discover a new untraveled avenue, like the poet Robert Frost says. A lot of people are talking machines are going to take over, and especially take over the MDs and the lawyers, etc. And a lot of people are saying whatever you put into the internet, in your social media, will become you as the living robot. So once you die, your entire venture or your entire choice will be living in machines. And at the same time, with a lot of the space race, pilgrimage to Mars is being boosted. Where are you? Heinz Ketchup just made a declaration the other day that they're trying to find a new jarred food for going to Mars, and they want to be also in the space race with the concept of food. So, where are you? Are you at a point where you surrender? But surrender, as much as it's passive, can it be active? So let's say, like me, you break your back, and you're almost paralyzed, you cannot walk for 4 months. Can you surrender? Or are you going to bitch and say, why the hell this happened to me? Which one is going to be the progress for you? Can you surrender to the things which happen to you and say, okay, the control is not mine, and I will make the best out of it? Or do you want to control? Which side of this pendulum are you at? Can you surrender? Or can you not surrender and still want to control whatever is happening? That brings me time. Time will determine how codependent you are. This is what happens. When you are in your puberty, your frontal lobe starts developing itself. The frontal lobe can only develop itself once you start making your own choices. Okay? Once you start making your own choices, you will pay the consequences. But your parents, the society, doesn't want you to live your puberty as you should be living it. Because then you're doing very indecent and immoral things. So what happens? You become codependent. You become codependent in what to study, who to marry, where to work, etc. Until one day you wake up. At the same time, this codependency brings another time failure to your life, which is you're not at present. Like you're sitting down here, you're wandering around. Maybe 7 minutes of my speech you're sort of capturing, or 7 seconds, and then you're wandering around. You go to your thoughts, and the thoughts, they take you to your positive past, or to your negative past, or your positive future, or your negative future. Let's say you devote 20% of your time in each box. Currently, you remain with 20% here. With 20% here, you start trying to make choices. And let's say you didn't have a nice puberty where your frontal lobe was developed and you're codependent, that 20% is also stolen. Where are you? See, that's why you should erase being codependent, the codependency to a spouse, to a father, to work, etc. You should be dependent on you and put more time to now rather than those 20% to past and future, etc. So, if value and time are very, very important, who are you devoting these to? You give your time to beats, to things that you do. You give your time to people, and you give your time to thoughts. Let's say all these are negative. What makes you? This makes you a total negative person. Let's say all of them are positive. That makes you a positive person. So why don't you pull to yourself, to your life, good deeds, fun people, and fun thoughts, positive thoughts. That's why you are, if you like it or not, you're a magnet. Because you are based and established on molecules. So, finding yourself, don't find yourself. You are yourself actually. You just have to be aware of yourself. But there is traps. If you're a lamb, then there are a lot of wolves out there. For example, spiritualism is a trap. It's a yoga economy. It's an economy. They want to sell you suits, they want to sell you food, etc., etc. They want to sell you classes. Drug economy. They want to sell you vitamins, they want to sell you antibiotics, etc., etc. Party economy. They want to send you to places where you party, you're entertained, and for one drink you pay X amount of money. For this DJ that you're listening, you pay a ticket of X price, etc. Food economy. There's now nutrition and culinary, whatever there. School, education economy. I can list thousands of economies who are actually telling you, let me help you find yourself. But actually, you are yourself. You don't need to find yourself. And what you just need to do is, you have to realize it's a game of molding, that people are shaping you for their own purpose of dreams. So you just disassemble what they're trying to assemble for you. So what you need to do is, you need to stop that game of molding. You are not a robot. So dare to stop it. Dare to do that. Another industry which is taking the control of yourself is the story industry. The fables which were told you when you were a little kid. The Red Riding Hood and Cinderella, etc. The isms, the wars. The religions, patriotism. Hollywood lifestyles, career, values, culture, health. These are all stories which people are trying to send you with all the content devices around you. YouTube, TikTok, Spotify, things like Hulu, things like Netflix. You're being bombarded with content. And the story economy, the story industry are trying to sell you. It's very difficult to be you actually. And it's very daring to be you these days. Because you're bombarded with all these things. You're bombarded. There's no more patriotism in the world. But there's patriotism. Patriotic leaders are winning elections. But when you look at people who are successful in the world, they're not patriots. They're world citizens. So, look at these industries, how they're shaping you. And they're giving you the biggest trauma of your life. The biggest trauma of your life is your dreams are being stolen from you. For about 10 years, I went around universities in Turkey, established clubs which promoted teaching or making you remember how to dream again. You know why I did that? Because of this ratio. Your imagination capacity of 98% when you were a little kid, 6 years old, being 98%, you lost that to 2% when you became freshman year university. Can you imagine? Your imagination capacity was stolen from you. 2%. People came up the stage and said, I don't have a dream. Because I never was allowed to dream. I listened to more than, in 10 years, I listened to more than 85,000 people on stage per minute addressing their dreams. I tried to find sponsors who would help people make those dreams come true. I helped like 50,000 dreams come true through those sponsors. 10 years. But you know, it didn't sort of take off in this country because most of the companies were, and most of the universities were scared of that. But the students were brave enough to establish university student clubs under that name. But they didn't get the applause from neither the universities, neither the companies, nor their parents. They said, if I start dreaming again, I will be confronting my mother or father. One of the universities which actually helped us was Abdullah Gül University in the past. We had a class there called Imagination Maximization. For one semester, I taught students to remember how to dream. It was an official curriculum. I taught the same class in Harran University, I taught the same class in Karatay University, in Medipol University, but when I went to Koç University, applying to teach that course, even though I used to teach at Koç, Koç didn't want that course. They said it's not academic. If you have time, in YouTube, I have a conversation with one of the psychiatrists, and he's a rector of a very prominent university at Teke Fatih Altaylı's TV program. This gentleman accused me of poisoning the youth. He said, "You're introducing something to the youth that they're not ready for." And when I asked him, "What is your dream in life? What do you imagine in life?" He said, "I don't have a dream." This guy is head of a university, and he's a psychiatrist. So, no wonder the result is as such. So, once you live this trauma of losing your dreams, what happens to you? You lose your values, you lose your trust, and you lose your hope. If you don't have these three, how can you look at the future? How can you be part of the future? How can you establish your own future? So, the future won't be there if you don't have a dream. Because once you have a dream, you put yourself into the future. Like Steve Jobs did. Like Michael Jordan did. Like LeBron is doing. Or Ball is doing. Or how the way Horowitz did. The Disneys did. They had a dream. And they included themselves to shape the future. Because once you start dreaming, a miracle happens. A different frequency is excelled and expanded into the future. If you don't do it yourself, someone else does it for you. Not every dream is going to be achieved by you, but because you voiced it, they will make sure that that dream comes true. Maybe going to Mars is not going to be something of the guys who are in that race today, but the new generation might go to Mars because they were brave enough to dream to go to Mars. So, whose dreams? That's the other question. Whose dreams are you making true? Are you helping come true in life? Yours or theirs? That's a choice as well. Can you connect the dots that happen to you in life? What are these dots? The things you experience. What is experience? Knowledge and emotion. Once your father hits you, or once you read a book, or once you kiss this woman or guy, knowledge and feeling merges. So, list things in life which were most influential in you. No, 10 things, 11 things. What did they teach you? And what did you feel? And feelings and experiences and knowledge merging in these incidents will actually help you to sort of answer that question. Whose dreams are you going to make come true in the future? So what is your truth? Once you start trying to be you, once you start daring to be you, what is going to be your truth? Can you face your truth? Can you acknowledge your truth? Can you be conscious about your truth? And once you're trying to identify what your truth is, it's your talents. And let me tell you, basic talent. Forgetting something is a talent. You're going to say, how? If you didn't forget pain, you wouldn't try to do things again. If you didn't forget the pain of having a kid, you would never have a second one. To the woman, I tell you. But you forget that pain, and you have a second child. Or a man. They say, I'm never going to get married again. But they get married again. Because they forget the bad part of that relationship and they fall in love again. Same thing for women. A child. How the hell does the child try to walk after falling like 1,000 times? Because they forget pain. Pain teaches you, you forget. So, one of the biggest talents is to forget. Second talent, to dream. Everybody has the same capacity of dreaming. Not less, not more. But how do you activate that? How do you keep that alive? Third talent, to be mobile, to move. To move. To be in action, to be in flow. That's why there is yoga, there's sports, there's walking, there's swimming, etc. That's why flowing meditations actually is very conscious. And feelings. Feelings. That's also a talent, to be able to express your feelings. Yes, I was angry. Yes, I was scared. Yes, I fell in love. Those are feelings. Those are truth. Not stories, but the exact feeling. Yes, I am bored. Yes, I'm excited. Feelings. So your abilities and your dreams is your golden ratio. And in the middle of the golden ratio is your core essence, and every other circle or every other rectangle is part of it. So can you believe? Can you believe in your dream? My daughter, when she was fishing one day, she was at that time 8 years old, she was fishing and talking something to the fish. And my son was doing the same thing, he was 10. My son was at the very spot, and trying to angle the fish, but got 0. And my daughter was taking the fish, like 5 or 6 of them, and then letting them go. I said to her, what are you doing? She said, shh. I am dreaming that I'm talking with the fish. What are you saying to the fish? I said, come to me, don't go to my brother. If you go to my brother, he will eat you. I will let you go. I said, do you believe in this? And she said, what do you think? Look at the fish. So, believe. And once you believe, geography is not going to be your fate. Geography is not fate. Especially in today's communication world. You need to wake up. Because you cannot sleep and dream at the same time. Dreaming, imagination is an active thing. You need to wake up. You need to wake up and be very conscious of what you dream. So, no one will hand you anything in a golden plate. No one. How lucky you are, it doesn't matter. Even luck requires movement. So, wake up. You can be somebody, no problem. You can be nobody, no problem. These are not determinants of your happiness or your state of being. You know what determines this? Actually, what you put there as a list. You can put there, I will buy a Porsche, I will buy a Gucci, I will work in a very big company, I will become this teacher, you can have a list as such, or you can have a list as, I am mindful, I am listening to my feelings, I am this, I am that, whatever. You can shape yourself with your list, because you are going to go after a list. If you're human, no matter what they tell you, you will have a list. Because you're bombarded with information, which sort of establishes that list. So, do you dare to be you? Do you dare to be at a very big state dinner and saying, I will have my soup as such. I won't use a spoon. Do you dare to do that? If you are happy, if you are content, if you are very much loyal to yourself, yes, then you can dare. So dare to be you. Dare to come into your own, because every balloon which raises, it raises from the energy, with the energy from within. It doesn't rise up with the energy from outside. So dare to sort of face your energy, and you shall rise. You shall rise. This I read the other day, it was fantastic. This will take time, ladies and gentlemen. It's not going to happen tomorrow. It will take time to sound yourself, like Miles Davis said. It will take time to find your own tune. But you cannot find your own tune without trying, without daring to do different things. And making things joyful for you. You should make school joyful, relationships joyful, teaching joyful. You should have fun. Look at this. It's fun. Dare to try these things. Dare to transform your campus to a festival area. You should have fun in life. Without fun, you cannot ignite that energy. You cannot ignite any energy without having fun. So if you're doing something and it's not giving you fun, don't do it. Don't do it. That's bad energy. Freedom. A lot of people are seeking freedom in their lifespan. But it's hidden somewhere. And it's hidden somewhere that you never thought it was. It's hidden in the activation of feelings. That's why having fun will activate those feelings. It will separate you from being boring. Don't be boring. Have fun. Have fun. As you're having fun, you should be conscious, mindfulness, and heartfulness. They should be part of your life. They should be part of your life. That's the way you're going to feel things. And one day, when you're dying, you're going to say, shit, it was all a dream. Yes, it was all a dream. And as you're dying, you're going to watch your own movie. You'll watch a film. You could say, shit, I want to try again. Or you can say, hey, it was such a damn good ride. Which one would you prefer? I would want to try this whole thing again. With the good and bad. My movie was perfect. Perfect! And believe me, I had my falls and I had my ups. After being very rich, I experienced being very poor. At an age where I had already my kids, I looked at their eyes and said, I cannot provide you with the money that you're asking me today. But like 2 years, 3 years ago, they had all the wealth they could sort of work with. I lived those truths. I lived through those times. But you know what? It was damn good. And it's still super. I have still tons of things to accomplish. So, you're going to watch that movie. It's your movie, it's your music, it's your photography, it's your cinematography. What will you say to yourself? And every 100 years, you're so lucky because people are dying and you're going to sort of replace those seats. So you're going to replace your father, your mother, your friends, or the idols that you look up to, you're going to replace them. But once you replace them, once you have that luck, what will you do with your life? With your movie? Were you dareful? Were you truthful and dareful? Or did you hide and did you sort of procrastinate? Didn't want to deal with that? What is your value proposition to life? In life, to life, for life. What is your value proposition? Everybody who breathes has to have a value proposition. Big, small, it doesn't matter. Your value proposition. Why are you here for? You know what a value proposition is? It's how you make me feel and what you provide to me in function. So it's partially emotional, partially functional. But what is your value proposition? Even when you're trying to date a girl or a man, what is your value proposition? Why you? Why not her? Or him? And believe me, all of you are great marketing people. You know why? Because when that time comes, trying to impress somebody, you achieve miracles. Miracles. Because it's in you. It's in your spirit, awakens in your body, and you dare to try everything. So, what is your valuable message to us? Now, I ask those 3 questions again. You have 12 months to live, said the doctor. What would you do with your life? Question number 2, you have to write a letter. The plane is almost going down. To whom would you write? What would you write? And you have all the time and wealth in life. What would you do? Dare to be human. You can only be human and make a change if you dare to be you. And if you dare to be you, you will transform the world. Ask him. Thank you. If you have questions, I can answer. No questions? Ask me.
How can you feel like you are yourself?
So when you feel like you become yourself, how do you know which moment makes you feel like, oh, I become myself, that you're not influenced or affected by other people, that you feel like you're totally you?
When you take a breath and you're proud of yourself with the feeling that you're with, then you know.
Thank you.
Intuitively.